Today is January the 7th. Time moves on. So do sweet mysteries. I can't help but be surrounded with good memories. There'll be music at midnight, Elvis's music. And it will be January the 8th. It'll be Elvis's birthday. My mind goes back to another time, the time when I first met Elvis. This wasn't a parking lot then. It was a nightclub called the Crossbow. How fortunate for me that at that point in time there was a club there called the Crossbow instead of a parking lot. And fans all over the world on the eve of the 7th and the day of the 8th are celebrating Elvis's birthday. Great Britain, Germany, Japan, Australia, China, Brazil, and hundreds of fan clubs throughout the United States. I've been invited to share in the tribute to Elvis with the greater Los Angeles Fans for Elvis.
First of all, I want to thank everybody here again because we could not have done this without you. If you look in Jerry Hopkins' book, which most fans have, it starts out by saying Lance leGault is a talented blues singer from Louisiana. The book will also tell you that Lance worked in movies with Elvis from 1960 through 1968, then went on to work on the NBC 68 special, and I'm sure that many of you recognize him from that. Those are things that I think most fans know about Lance, but I found out something the other day that I didn't know, and I think maybe something that most fans don't know about Lance. He appeared on the London stage and received the London Drama Critics Award for Best Actor of the Year for his role in Othello. And I would think that there are very few fans that know that side of Lance. He also is a talented actor, appears in many TV movies, regular movies, and I'm sure that a lot of you will recognize him from his roles in Magnum P.I., The A-Team, and Werewolf. So now, if I may, I'd like to introduce Curry Grant, who is going to come up and tell us a story concerning Elvis and Lance.
Thank you. I really don't have much to say. They've got me down as a speaker, but I'm only going to go over a few things about Lance and how he and Elvis sort of segued into each other, I would put it that way, in the early 60s. I've had many private talks with Elvis late at night, 4 or 5 in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock. We talked from about 12 one night to about 7 in the morning. Started in Germany when we were stationed together. And the thing about Elvis, once he locked onto you for any reason, then he's locked into you forever. And one night we were talking with Elvis's best friend, Cliff Leaves, who's also a friend of Lance's. And for some reason, Lance, of course, his name came up. And something that really surprised me, because I'd never heard Elvis say this before, is well, I can explain it in one word. The relationship between Elvis Presley and Lance leGault. Respect. Elvis always had that respect and admiration for Lance, and this is what I want to tell you. So let's give Lance a big hand for that, okay? Okay, brother, it's all yours.
If I'd have known that, I'd have charged him more. I didn't know all that good stuff. We played a lot of music together. The times that I worked with Elvis were years that he didn't appear in person. And consequently, most of the music that we played would be after work, during work, or on lunch breaks. And you saw that on the 68 special where everybody just sort of sat down and played. And that's the Elvis that I knew the best.
Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right with you.
A lot of good memories. I worked with Elvis from 1961 to 1968 on about a dozen films and the 68 NBC special. I helped him with his choreography, taught him the dance routines, rehearsed him for lights and camera, and I did some stunts in the movies and I did some bit parts, a sort of a jack-of-all-trades job.
Papa told me to. Said, son, that girl you're fooling with, she really no good for you. But that's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Any way you wanna do. I'm leaving town this morning. I'm leaving town for sure. Then you won't be bothered by me hanging around your door. It's all right. It's all right, Mama. Any way you wanna do. Ah!
We're back at the Crossbow. And why? Because this is where I first met Elvis. He was doing a picture then at Fox, and he started coming to the Crossbow to relax at night. It was then that Elvis asked me to come aboard. I had a South Louisiana rhythm and blues band out here. Elvis was a big fan of the blues, so this is where he came to see us. And once Elvis came here, a lot of other people came here. Clint Eastwood, Dorsey Burnett, Johnny Burnett, and Tuesday Weld. Elvis was doing something, a picture over at Fox, I believe, at the time. This is where the club was. It was quite a large club, and it was full about 6 nights a week. It's a parking lot, and right over here was the driveway. Elvis's black Rolls Royce came in there, went around the back of the club, and parked there. There was a back door and stairs up to a private balcony. The other stairs came up the other end from the kitchen. Food and whatever he wanted was brought up there. He had absolute privacy, and he danced up there and had a great time. Back in the 60s, I used to open the shows in this kind of coat, this velour, and it still fits, by the way. I had it in several colors. The reason it looks so good, I wore it about 30 seconds, and then we got to cooking. This Crossbow was a hot spot. A lot of musicians honed their skills out here. As I said, Elvis was in the balcony. The word got out, and musicians like Leon Russell worked here with us. Gabor Szabo, the guitar player, who was later a giant in the jazz field. Glenn Campbell played here, Jerry Cole, Hal Blaine, it goes on and on and on. A lot of musicians that you may not have heard of because they're session musicians now, but they were great. This old guitar of mine is a Fender Wildwood. It was brand new when Elvis and I were fooling around with it, and he dropped it and cracked it. The crack's still there. It still plays good because it's got a steel rod through it. That's my Fender Wildwood that Elvis was holding, and it was on clambake that he cracked it. A lot of good memories, and the sweet mystery goes on and on.
Now, once you get a couple questions ready.
Could you tell us about the time you wore Elvis's trousers and what happened?
Yeah, I sure can. We played a lot of rap parties. She wants to know about a trouser story. True story. I got a witness. We were playing this rap party at MGM, I don't know for what picture, and I was playing drums and singing. And Elvis would get up and play bass. George was playing tenor sax. I had two horns, trombone and sax in that band. And I split my britches real bad, sitting down on the drums trying to play and sing, you know. So the wardrobe man says, I'll give you a pair of Elvis's Levi's. I said, great, my ass is hanging out, man, you know. I mean, it is. The seam's split. There's nothing, you can't save it. You can't walk around like this here all night. And he brought me a pair of Elvis's Levi's, and I went somewhere and took the torn ones off, put them on. A picture of the wardrobe, a pair of the wardrobe Levi's from the movie, you know. And boy, we were playing and just rocking on, and Elvis was dancing, you know, a little bit, and he was having a good time and being polite to the cast and crew, which he always was. Very considerate of them. We took a break, and I walked over to him and said, what else can I do? Is it good, you know? Well, I have a habit of jamming my hands in my trousers. I jammed it in there, and the damn pocket was sewn closed. And I like to broke my finger. I've never seen a pair of anything with the pockets sewn up. But Elvis's pockets were sewn up. On all those movies, you'll never see anything in his pocket. There's no pocket there. I got my truck keys, that's it.
In Fun in Acapulco, the song that Elvis does with the cape, which is such fantastic cape work, I think all of us always thought that at the end when Elvis just lets the cape drop over his head, he was fooling around, and perhaps that was something unrehearsed. I'd like you to tell us, was it meant to be that way?
Whether it was put in for Elvis's sense of humor or whether Elvis did it and Charlie liked it, but we staged it that way. I rehearsed the number till everybody knew what Elvis was going to do, then showed it to Elvis, showed it to the cameraman, showed it to the director first, then the cameraman. And the reason is, you know, when the cape goes over his head, the mariachi band all comes in on cue and puts their hats on. Well, if he did that accidentally, they wouldn't know to do that. And the light man couldn't light it, and the cameraman couldn't shoot it. So I think it was prepared. But the way he did it, who could do it better? He had fun with that cape, and it showed, you know, he enjoyed it. And that shows. That's the Fun in Acapulco picture.
We've heard a lot of stories about his generosity. Can you give us an example?
He gave money anonymously, and not only did I not know who sent the money, and he didn't send me any, I mean to charities and things. My God, woman, he gave so much money, you and I could have been driving Rolls Royce. All we had to do was form a charity that he, you know, that was right. He never said anything about it. He never said it was $5, $500, or $5,000. Now, I've heard, people have talked about this. You know, he sent Jerry Lee $5,000 on that thing in Memphis. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know about it because he never said a thing. I think Joe Esposito could probably tell you about that because he made out the checks that Elvis signed. But I never heard him say anything about that. He just kind of did it. Elvis was the kind of guy you couldn't admire something, he'd give it to you. I knew that. He would flat give it to you. You like this guitar? Here. Because I saw him do it. We had an early call and were rehearsing a number at Paramount. Elvis had a later call. In other words, he would come in about 10 o'clock. He wasn't needed early that day. We're on a break now, and Elvis comes in, not in wardrobe and makeup, but in his street clothes, and he had his jewelry on. So we're standing, hey, how's it going? Hey, good, good, good. Having a donut and a cup of coffee, you know. And they're doing something with lights or something, when this choreographer said to Elvis, and it was a beautiful ring, Jesus, God, man, that's beautiful, Elvis. And you know what he did. He said, "You like that?" He took that ring off and gave it. This guy's mouth dropped open. And there was only 3 of us standing there. And there was a kind of a pregnant pause. And I said, "Jesus, Elvis, you know that Rolls Royce you're driving? I always have really liked that, but he was that way, generous to a fault. You know, I wrote a song. If you read that magazine, there's a thing. This is called Put What You Can in the Can. And it has to do with generosity. Some think old John's just a flim-flam with his old guitar and a tin can. He works the streets all along Maine, playing the same tunes over again with a harp tied up around his neck, a bass drum riding on his back. Folks stop to pass the time of day. They ask him things and all he'll say, "Put what you can in the can, a helping hand for a blind man, and he'll play his music for you. It's the bestest thing you do." Hear him go, say, "Wah, wah, wanna do, wah, 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 wanna do, wah, wah, wah." Long about evening when the freaks are out, you can hear John picking the blues with his shout, and that harp a-howling down the alleyway. Between every tune, he'll stop to say, "Put what you can in the can, a helping hand for a blind man, and he'll play his music for you. That's the bestest thing you do." Hear him go, say, "Wah, wah, wanna do, wah, 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 wanna do, wah, wah, wah." I'm sure most of you read that story about Elvis driving around Memphis. You remember the story where he went down, turned around, came back, the blind man on the corner with the can, and he dropped in $500 bills, 5 $100 bills or something, and drove away. And that's what that song's about.
What were some of Elvis's little quirks, you know, little habits that he had?
I'll tell you one thing that he did say to me once. We on I don't know, it was the IRS number. You know what picture that's from, where he's in trouble and the IRS guys come marching in. We'd rehearsed that and rehearsed that for lights and cameras. And he was out of his rehearsal clothes. This was the final rehearsal, and he hadn't put on the tie and or the jacket. I from memory remember. And the wardrobe guy came right out on the stage in front of the crew and the rest of the cast with the tie and gave it to Elvis. And Elvis kind of put it on, and and I'm standing there. We're both kind of sweating and calming down from the final camera rehearsal, and he couldn't tie his tie. And he looked down at me and said, "You see what I'll paraphrase, being looked after for 20 years?" And he laughed. He said, "I can't even tie my own tie."
After so many years of working with Elvis on the movies, when he first appeared live again in Las Vegas, I understand you were there. Could you tell us a little bit about that night? Thanks.
Peter. On the Vegas appearance, I was the guest of Kurt Kerkorian for that opening when Elvis went back. And I tell you, everybody was there. You've read Cary Grant was there. I didn't see Cary Grant. But I'll tell you this, Dick Clark was so far in the back, they had to pump sunshine to him. George Hamilton was sitting below the stage, facing this way, looking up at Elvis like this. That's the best seat he could get. I had a great seat. Straight on. Elvis was nervous, I felt. Not scared nervous, or I can't do it nervous, anticipation. Full of anticipation, good energy in other words. And man, I want to tell you, when he walked out, that band hit that thing for the next about 55 minutes. And he came out in
He was a lean, mean singing machine in basic black. He came out and he tore them a new... He set the record straight. It was really, truly, and I told him at that press conference with Antoine Domino, man, that was a great show. He said, thank you, man. You know, you don't have a lot of questions. You think I know everything. I don't know. I don't know too much. You know more about Elvis than I do, I'm sure. But I'll tell you something I didn't know. I did not know until I talked to this club the work you were doing. I didn't know that you were raising money for charities in Elvis Presley's name. Now, with trying to make a living and pay the gas bill and raise your family and feed your family and loan your no-good brother-in-law $20, I don't know how you make the time to raise money. And boy, I didn't even know that. That knocked me out. That's why I'm here. I only found out about this a couple of months ago. Give yourself a hand, a nice round of applause, because you deserve it. You really do.
Good memories. Elvis, Curry, George. It never quits.
It's cold here this morning. The sun's not up yet and it's damp. That's the way it was when we came to work here at Paramount through those gates on the Presley pictures. That's the new MGM building. Of course, when Elvis made his MGM pictures, that building wasn't here. Elvis signed his contracts in the landmark Fallberg building. Of course, he drove through that east gate. I had to park out here and walk in, but we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of work at MGM. Viva Las Vegas, Anne Margaret, Bill Bixby, Bill Schallert, Nancy Sinatra, Kissing Cousins, Yvonne Craig. Man, we did a lot of work here.
One day on one of those football games, Rick hit him and Elvis's feet went straight up in the air. I don't know if you were there that day.
Yeah. That's the day he jumped up so quick. Yeah, I knew Rick from those football games. I'll tell you a funny thing about a club. I had a guitar player down in Louisiana one time singing a song, and they got in a fight on the dance floor and hit the microphone, split both his teeth like that. And he went in the restroom, he looked and said, I like that, that's different. He left him like that.
Now, what about
crazy.
the best player we had on one note Frank? Remember
Frank James? Yeah.
Short Cowden didn't do very much, but he did what he did well. He played out the cross.
Elvis liked Frank. Elvis wanted to hire Frank.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he wanted Frank James to play bass for him. I didn't find that out till quite a bit later because he didn't do it, you know, but he liked Frank. Frank was a good guy.
Yeah, I remember the other time when Elvis brought Tuesday Well out there at the Crossbow Club, and all of a sudden, as they were leaving, this guy made a kind of a crude remark, and Elvis said, I just clenched my fist, man, just getting ready to turn around and pop him one. The guy threw out his hand, he said, Elvis, I'm your biggest fan. Elvis later said, what can I do? He said, what can I do? I couldn't hit the guy.
Yeah.
He just let it go.
I know. That was crazy.
Why do we celebrate Elvis's birthday? And people might occasionally ask that question. Not very often, though. Well, we'll just take it for granted, I guess. But don't get me wrong, it's not that casual. Far from it. We do more than remember Elvis. He was a part of us, and it was important because we were growing with him. He fulfilled his dreams, and he gave us dreams that we could fulfill. It wasn't just screaming girls and groupies fighting for space at the foot of the bandstand or reaching out trying to touch him. The wonder of it was that Elvis kind of seemed to belong to everyone. The vested suit chasing him down the street, just share a moment, or the big burly electrician on the set at Paramount who had respect and camaraderie. Elvis made him feel good. Ah, yes, the sweet mystery goes on.
This is my Arabian horse ranch up in the Sierra Nevadas. And this is my newest colt, Kemosabe's El Alamo. The L is after Elvis. The Alamo's after Alamo Joe, a werewolf character I played. He's about 8 months old now. And he's starting to bite. But he won't, if you just squeeze his nose a little, he doesn't like that. And that'll stop him from biting. He's a good boy. Now, settle down. Settle down. Settle down. Yeah, that's good. He's a purebred. And we're very proud of him. We hope he'll be a champion. My friend Elvis was a purebred. And he was a champion. Elvis liked horses a lot. We talked about Rising Sun and the House of the Rising Sun, the stables. I wish I could share my horses and my ranch with him. But when we were working together, I didn't have all this.
They call it the rising sun, in the room of plenty, man. Lord, I think I know I'm one. One of the good memories I have about Elvis is when we were making a picture called Speedway with Nancy Sinatra. He and Nancy worked real well together, and one day while we were rehearsing, Elvis came up to me and he said, "You know what she just told me?" And I said, "What?" He said, "Next to her father, I was the man she respected most." He got a big kick out of that, chuckled about it, and I said, "That's great." On that same set, later, he said something about keep it kind of quiet, but he and Priscilla were going to get married. And I said, "Oh, my God, don't tell me any secrets. I don't want to be responsible." And sure enough, later on that day, we were off work. I was driving home. I heard it on the radio, and I said, "Oh, I hope I don't get blamed for that leak." But I didn't. They had announced it to the press.
We're on Lance's patio, and the snow's melting all around us, and I promised the fans that I'd ask him some questions. Where did he study acting?
I don't think he ever studied.
You don't think he studied?
No, I think he just was a natural, he had some sort of photographic, I think he was a big movie fan. I think he liked acting, I think he liked movies, and I think he just had some kind of photographic memory or something, because he just took to it, boom, boom, boom. Didn't seem to have any trouble with it, but I don't think, I never heard anybody say that.
Well, when you were doing those films, would you sit around and analyze scenes?
Never. He never talked about acting in his life. He just did it.
Did
he never talked about his music either.
Oh, really?
He didn't talk about it. He didn't have anything to say. He didn't talk about what he'd done or what he was doing or a particular tune, you know, or anything like that.
Did he talk about people he admired, actors whose work he
Well,
respected?
yeah, but that's, I have to tell you something. I never heard him do that. Now, people have told me he admired so-and-so and so-and-so, and he admired so-and-so, and he admired so-and-so, but I never heard him say it. I never heard him talk about his movies or his acting or his music or his sales or his money. He wasn't that kind of guy, at least with me.
What about this energy that Elvis had? Was
A
that
lot of energy.
Yeah. Was he always like that? Or?
Elvis was very natural, but I think that was acting. I think, you know, because he was as nervous as anybody else. If you look at some of his interviews, you know, he felt that pressure. He felt that stress. It's there, you know.
So before walking out before giving a performance, he'd have nerves as much as...
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he, you know, when you care about something, you're nervous. I mean, who was the lady that said if you don't have butterflies, but when the curtain goes up, I mean, they're gone the minute you walk out, the curtain's up. But you've got that. Then you must not care. And it was some great actress, traditional theater.
Well, I think it was Helen Hayes said that 8:30 still, every 8:30 or 8 o'clock every night, she still gets the butterflies.
You bet. When we were doing the play Catch My Soul in London, you know, Laurence Olivier came to see it, Michael Caine came to see it, and Peter Ustinov came 2 nights in a row. I found out later he was going to direct a thing, and there was something in there that I could have done, so he wanted to see it 2 nights in a row. When these people were in the audience, there was a tremendous amount of anticipation, extra pressure backstage before that curtain went up. It was, not that we'd given this performance, I don't know how many 100 times, but still that added pressure. And it's simply because they care. Actors and singers, and, you know, they care about what they're doing, and the minute you care about something, you know, I don't know, you just feel the pressure. And I think Elvis felt the pressure of, you know, it's all, when you're the king too, you know,
Oh, that
the
had to be
minute
a
you make a
tremendous
mistake, every
pressure.
critic jumps on you, every one of your enemies eats you
Was
up.
he affected?
Yeah. He got nervous just like any other performer gets nervous, just like I'm nervous talking to you. I'm going down to Homer, gonna find me a Cajun girl. I'm gonna sit down beside her, tell her about the whole round world. She will sit there and listen, every word I say. We're gonna talk through the night, right on up till break of day. And she'll say, a big talker, keep a moving that jaw. Ain't nothing better to do, know how. You stay here, just tell me every place you've been. And I will rub your back and fix you grits, and I'll brew you coffee with chicory in it. The woman from Homer, she gonna take good care of you.
I was doing a play in London, and the royal family asked me, was there any chance that Elvis would come over and do a charity for their children's playground? It's an annual event, and I flew on their behalf from London to L.A. to inquire about that, and Elvis was on a list of charities so long that there was just no way he could do it. He was committed to an MGM contract at the time anyway.
Only part of you is going. And she said, a big talk will keep a moving that jaw. Ain't nothing better to do, know how. You stay here and just tell me every place you've been. And I will rub your back, baby, and I'll fix your grits, and I'll brew you coffee with chicory in it. Cause the woman from Homer, she's gonna take good care of you. She said, big talk will keep a moving that jaw. Ain't nothing better to do, know how. You stay here, tell me every place you've been, and I will rub your back and fix your grits, and I'll brew you coffee with chicory in it. Cause this here woman from Homer, she gonna take care of you. One more. And she said, a big talk will keep her moving that jaw. Ain't nothing better to do, know how. You stay here and just tell me every place you've been. And I'll rub your back and I'll fix you grits, and I'll brew you coffee with chicory in it. The woman from home, she gonna take care of you. Let's take it home, baby. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Take it up. Go on.
Viva Las Vegas was partially shot in Las Vegas, and it was a real fun picture. We were on it for quite a while and did 3 or 4 different jobs on that picture. Annie and Elvis had a great time there. They would go to shows in the evening and all that. And, later on, when we were doing Kissin' Cousins, because we shot Kissin' Cousins after Viva Las Vegas, Ann called one morning on the Kissin' Cousins set. Nobody was there yet but me, and it was a call for Elvis. So I took the call, and Annie said she was just called to say she was going to London and say goodbye and tell Elvis that she loved him. I said, well, now, wait a minute. I don't know if I'll tell you what, I'll handle the first part, but I'm going to have to let that second part slide. Bye-bye.
that Joe. See, I got the easy part. Ain't nothing better to do, know how. Stay here and tell me of a place you've been. And I'll rub your back, baby, and I'll fix your grits, and I'll brew you some badass South Louisiana coffee with chicory in it. 'Cause the woman from home will take good care of you. Yeah, big talk will keep her moving at you. Ain't nothing better to do, know how. You stay here, just tell me if I play you in. And I will rub your back, fix you grits, and I'll brew you coffee with chicory in it. 'Cause a woman from home, she gonna take good care, she gonna take good care of you. Now you can go. Go on, Jerry, go on. Now give me about three. Everyone baby the rest. Come on, give me some. Yeah. Take me home. Yep. Give me some, George. Give me some. Come on. Take me home. Go ahead, now, both of you. Go on, both of you. Go on, both of you.
A lot of people have commented about Elvis not being able to go where he wanted to go, do what he wanted to do. And some people think he was a recluse. Well, he wasn't. He went a lot of places, did a lot of things. We used to play those touch football games, you remember, on Saturday. And every couple of 3 weeks we had to change parks because the crowd, came. And a lot of celebrities came and played. And we had a great time. It was good exercise.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Elvis. Happy birthday to you.
Everybody want to ask one question? Then what we're going to do, someone else?
Yeah.
In Elvis's house, Alvina was more than the cook. She was the king.
You put too much pressure on me. 'Cause you know about those cakes. Why don't you cut it? Would you like to? Yes, ma'am, then you just cut it.
Well, I have another little story that I'd like to share.
We have another little story. Heads up. I'll get her going.
Elvis wanted something sweet, and they didn't want to give him anything sweet, so I took it on myself to make him a strawberry shortcake. And I made the old-fashioned kind out of the biscuit dough and cut it in half and filled it full of butter. And then I put all these strawberries on it and put the other layer on top and covered it up with whipped cream. And boy, he saw that cake, he cut it half in two. This is for me and this is for and wrapped it up, the half of it they ate. The second half, they wrapped it in wax paper and said, do not touch.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Motorcycle rides on Sunday, he rode that big Harley, and that was what was so funny about on Roustabout. They had him riding a little Honda, and those big Harleys weighed about 1,000 pounds. I remember one time Elvis laid his over on the side there, and he and I tried to pull it up, and like got a hernia. It took about 4 of us to upright that thing. We were up on Mulholland Drive. But I thought Harley should have put a couple of bikes in his movies. It would have been a good advertisement. But when I called them, they wouldn't even talk to me. That Honda jumped on it. They got some good advertising. That was nice.